2026, 84% of retail sales in North America still happen in a physical store. If you're a marketer, you're probably ignoring most of that 84% and wondering why your cost per acquisition keeps going up. I'm going to show you exactly how the smartest brands target the offline economy without breaking a single privacy law. And that's why almost everyone is getting this wrong. Section 1, the 84% blind spot. Here's the reality. As I said, in 2026, 84% of purchases in North America still happen in a physical store. Yes, 84%. That means if you're only using online signals to build your audiences, you're at best accessing 16% of the market. And a huge chunk of that 16% gets routed through Amazon. So in practice, you're competing for the scraps where your competitors are bidding for the same impressions. Think about that. You're trying to find the people who spend the most money on your category or the people that spend money on your category, and you're ignoring the place where most of the money is actually spent. It's like running a marathon with a refrigerator strapped to your back while your competitor runs the same race with a day pack. So we figured this out at Connected back in 2016, when the number was closer to like 92% of in-store sales. It changed how we built every audience after that. We had to start treating real-world transactions as part of the foundation of audience architecture, not just a footprint. When a major over-the-counter pharmaceutical brand came to us struggling to scale their audience, we rebuilt it with offline data and gave them 10 times the scale. This increased optimization tenfold. Now, this was used in targeting within Canada as a control, while the US has been running without it. Same product, same campaigns, but the Canadian market share has been moving up for 2 years, while the US market share has dropped. The only difference was the data. So how do you actually capture 84% without violating privacy law? That's where it gets interesting. Section 2, privacy compliant, the way we use offline data. For years, the industry has tried to tie offline purchases to cookies, directed device IDs, but that doesn't scale, and it's not privacy compliant. The only way to do this at scale and stay 100% compliant is to anchor the signals in households at a postal code level, specifically zip +4 in the US and a full postal code with 6 digits in Canada. That's roughly 15 households per cluster. Now, 15 households sounds chunky if you're used to one-on-one targeting, but that's the entire point. You're identifying pockets of behavior, micro-clusters of households that index high on a specific purchase pattern. That's how you spot potential demand and real demand at scale, and how household lookalike models actually start to work. This approach won us a Media Innovation Award where we use automotive purchase data for Honda dealers to identify households in clusters with potential buyers and targeted not only the households, but their neighbors as well, feeding the word of mouth effect. The results were telling. 2 times higher CTR, 3.7 times higher dwell time on the website, and 2.9 times higher build and price completions. There's a full video on this if you'd like in the link below, and you can find out more details on how this was run. So, how was this built? When a purchase happens on a credit card or debit card, a mobile device, even a watch, that transaction generates a signal that's tied back to the household of origin. We never see the exact person that made the purchase. We never touch a name or a phone number or an email. We see the household that is in market buying. That's it. That's the unlock. Scale and privacy compliance at the same time. You build massive audiences across millions of households without ever touching personally identifiable information. But here's the part that almost nobody gets right. When marketers finally get their hands on even other offline behavioral data, most of them throw it away by accident and don't even know it. Let me show you how. Section 3, the 2 mistakes killing retargeting. There's 2 ways in which I've seen marketers torch offline data, and I see it constantly. Mistake 1, they simply take a CSV file and they upload that list of postal codes into an advertising platform like Meta, Google, Amazon DSP, or any other type of ad platform, and then assume that the targeting gets to those exact households. Unfortunately, it doesn't. The platforms will quietly truncate your data to whatever postal granularity they're able to match or allowed to match. So those 15 households per cluster that you carefully built, they then get stripped down to either a 5-digit or 3-digit FSA, and now you're targeting up to 50,000 households in the US and about 8,000 households in Canada. That's 500 to 2,000 times bigger than the audience that you created. Your precision didn't degrade, it evaporated. Now you think you're hunting in the right pond, but you're actually trawling the entire ocean and wondering why you didn't drive incrementality. Mistake 2, lookalike inflation. Other purchase data providers sometimes actually have permission on a one-to-one basis, but they only have permission with a small audience, maybe 50,000 to 250,000 users. And they run that data through a lookalike model to inflate those users to 50 million or more, and then sell that as purchase data. Unfortunately, that isn't purchase data. That is purchase data cosplay. Lookalike modeling in this particular case doesn't work. Don't get me wrong, lookalike modeling is great for many applications like personas and other behaviors. It's probabilistic and can drive directional capabilities, but for actual buying behavior, you need deterministic signals, real transactions tied to real households, or you're not measuring purchase potential, you're measuring vibes. The two data types can absolutely work together. We blend them all the time, and we get great outcomes. But you have to know which one you're holding before you make a targeting decision. Targeting in 2026 purely on third-party cookies is like hiring a private investigator who checks someone's Facebook and calls it a day. So how do you turn deterministic offline data into actual omnichannel campaigns? Well, you need an ID graph. Section 4, the ID graph and audience architecture. Scale matters because without it, you can't optimize and you can't grow. Precision matters because it puts your dollars where the buyers actually are. But precision without scale is a tiny addressable market that skyrockets your costs. So you need both. An ID graph is the connected tissue that lets you find the same households across every digital channel, be it mobile, CTV, social, online, video, audio, or programmatic. It works by linking the household level signal to a network of anonymized digital identifiers that travel with the household across the internet. Every ID is hashed, nothing is ever decoded back to a person. To identify the households, mobile IDs are graphed to the households that they actually live in. That same household is what ties us to the origin of where the purchase is occurring in the store. That's what makes deterministic offline data genuinely omnichannel, because now we can graph that mobile ID to other channels. It's not theoretical, it's actually addressable. And this is where audience architecture comes in. Once you have the offline transaction signal anchored, you layer it with other signals and behaviors that could be online or even more offline. Lower funnel intent from e-commerce behavior, contextual signals, demographic data, affinity signals, you name it. Now, be careful because you don't want to shrink your audience down to nothing trying to find the perfect persona. You build the entire funnel from the start with deterministic offline data as the foundation, and then online signals and other signals to add additional precision or freshness. But always keep your audience scalable. That's audience architecture, not a single signal, a stack of them. Deliberately blended together, tested, optimized, and measured for incrementality. It's targeting built on real transactions, not guesswork, actual purchases. Section 5, let's do a hot take. And this is what I'd bet money on. The industry is panicking about cookie deprecation and signal loss. But the smartest brands aren't, because they understand the data done properly is bigger today than it's ever been before. Over the next 2 to 5 years, agencies and brands relying purely on probabilistic data and digital signals are going to watch their acquisition costs double or triple while they compete with each other on the same impressions. And brand advertising demand will increase with the pressures of artificial intelligence and AEO. The ones that anchor their targeting in deterministic real-world data and build proper audience architecture are going to take the market share. Stop ignoring the 84%. Stop only trusting lookalikes that dilute your precision. Build your audiences and actual transactions. The future of audience targeting isn't more cookies, it's better data, properly architected. I'm Noel here from Connected. See you next time.